11 days in, and America's military is decisively crushing Iran. There's no doubt about it. In most ways, winning the war, perhaps. But has America begun to lose the story? Has it begun to lose the narrative battle? I want you to think about that for a moment as I argue my case. Bombs are landing, targets are being destroyed in Iran, and by any conventional measure of firepower and military dominance, the United States is damaging Iran badly. But here's the thing about modern warfare that every commander-in-chief eventually learns the hard way. The narrative battle is nearly as consequential as the physical one. And on that front, Trump is getting outmaneuvered at probably every turn since this war began. Start with the most obvious one. It is now almost 2 weeks into what was sold as a surgical decapitation strike, a smash and grab that would shatter the Khamenei regime, liberate the Iranian people, and produce a grateful, organically empowered nation ready to turn the page. That story has not aged well. Anti-regime fervor is largely confined to the diaspora. Inside Iran, relentless bombardment has done something counterproductive so far. It has smothered the civilian anger that earlier existed towards the supreme leadership and redirected squarely at Trump. Then came the city of Minab in Iran. The accidental bombing of a school, over 150 young children, all of them girls, killed, has become the defining image of Operation Epic Fury. A rushed cowboy campaign that lacked the intelligence and finesse to avoid a schoolyard. Even traditionally Trump-friendly media cannot look away from it. His attempts today to deflect the Tomahawk fact-check made him look defensive and some say even insensitive. His own MAGA cheerleaders have been begging him to cut his losses, acknowledge this tragic error, and move on before the narrative of what happened to those school kids becomes a battering ram of a weapon in the hands of his enemies and of Iran. He has refused to do so far. Then there is the Netanyahu problem. Source-based leaks that Trump is furious with Israel over the bombing of oil depots near Tehran tell you everything. Those apocalyptic images have become a global rallying point, crossing Iranian factional lines, and they happened outside Trump's control. When your closet regional partner is freelancing and you are finding out from the news, then you've lost a bit of the narrative control. Inside the Trump administration itself, the messaging is incoherent. Trump signals the end is near. His Secretary of War, Peter Hegseth, says things are just getting started. That is not strategic ambiguity, as fans would suggest. That is some kind of confusion that's coming out in public. And with the fortnight milestone approaching on what was projected as a lightning operation, a darker realization is also settling in, and I want you to think about this as well, viewer. Regime change has never worked without boots on the ground. The moment that possibility entered the conversation, the American public has sort of recoiled. They've been here before. Afghanistan, Iraq, the long grinding wars that have consumed lives in the past, Korea, Vietnam, and presidencies. There's no appetite for another one. Trump calling Vladimir Putin last night is the clearest signal yet that Trump probably doesn't know what comes next, or at least how to get there. Telephoning a man bogged down in his own endless war with Ukraine, hoping he can broker an off-ramp, is not the move of a president fully in command of his war's destiny. It is the behavior of someone looking for the exit. Layer on top of all of this, the friendly fire incident over Kuwait a few days ago, the slow accumulation of American body bags, 7 and counting, and Trump publicly mocking Britain's offer of naval support, lashing out at his closest partner in a moment that betrayed a man supremely annoyed that nothing is perhaps going to plan. The mood appears to be shifting. The gung-ho opening energy has curdled into something more anxious, more uncertain. The Vietnam War did not end on a battlefield. If you remember, it ended when it could no longer be sold to the American people. Is this some version of that beginning to happen here? And remember, the war didn't start on a popular note at all. Or is Trump so deep in that the only move left is to hunt desperately for an off-ramp that looks enough like a win that he can live with it? Now, here are some indicators that Trump is looking for that off-ramp. That's his priority number one. The Iran retaliation has been fiercer than expected. Even today, Iran managed to hit a refinery in the United Arab Emirates. No uprising, no popular revolt by the people of Iran on the ground in Tehran or anywhere in that large country. America's Gulf allies have been caught in the crossfire. American bases have been hit, as you saw on my show yesterday. Missile defense radars have been targeted by Iran. All of this has caught America off guard and sent alarm bells ringing. The risk of a regional escalation if the Gulf nations retaliate is something that perhaps didn't enter Trump's calculus, which is why he needs an off-ramp. Oil is on the boil. This entire war has put the world on edge. There is an oil shock. That must have been accounted for. But can he contain the damage? Political pressure at home as the body bags begin to arrive. So far, the body bags are only 7 in number. But as the numbers pile up, and they probably will, can Trump sell that to the American public? And there are midterm elections coming up. The heavy cost of war. The US is taking big hits at all of its bases, all of its presences in the Middle East. And he has had to publicly dial Vladimir Putin and speak to him for a whole hour, right in the middle of a war with Iran. That is the clearest signal that an off-ramp is what Trump wants. But why does Trump need an off-ramp? You could say that he's the most powerful president, most powerful military, most powerful country in the world. Why does he need an off-ramp from all of this? Number one, no indication of the war reaching any logical end is the biggest reason why an off-ramp is necessary. The school bombing has been a big dent on America's image as a moral warfighter. Never really enjoyed that image, but this has seriously dented it. Differing voices from within the Trump administration, like Hegseth, Trump and others. Trump says war is almost over. Hegseth says the fury has just begun. Who is right? Depleting interceptor stock. Big radars have taken a hit. No matter what anyone says, weapons are finite. There cannot be an infinite supply of expensive weapons. Even a country as rich as America can't have an endless supply of $1 million interceptors to take care of an endless supply of drones, which are far cheaper, that Iran claims to be producing in large numbers. Number 6, being blamed for the global oil crisis. How long can he sustain being at the center of the world, pointing a finger and says, you are the cause of this crisis? Differences with Israel over the Iran oil strike. So these are just 7 reasons that I've come up with over why an off-ramp, an exit route, is the most compelling reason why we can all perhaps and hope to believe that this war's end is somewhere in the near future. It's a wrap on India Matters. If you have been, thanks very much for watching the #1 show at 8 p.m.